Chapter 1: The Arrival. The documentary begins with a jarring clang as a heavy steel door slams shut, reverberating through the silence of the stark corridor. This sound marks Kyle's entrance into a world he never thought he would inhabit. Once a respected journalist, he now grapples with the weight of his choices, sitting in a bleak, concrete cell surrounded by unfamiliar faces. "How did I end up here?" he reflects, as echoes of inmates' conversations mix unpredictably with the distant clatter of metal. As the initial shock of incarceration washes over him, Kyle's voice trembles with a blend of fear and disbelief. He recalls the sunsets he once took for granted and the freedom he sacrificed. With ambient sounds of bustling cells and murmurs of other inmates interspersed, listeners are pulled into his emotional turmoil, a deep sense of loss transforming into a harsh reality. This chapter sets the stage for Kyle's journey, where hope flickers dimly behind unforgiving bars. Chapter 2: The Inmate Society. As the sun sets behind the prison walls, Marisol's voice fills the air with the complexities of her reality. A young woman serving time for drug offenses, she describes the intricate social dynamics within the inmate population. "Here," she says, "friends are like family, but rivals can become deadly." Soundscapes of muffled conversations punctuate her narrative, revealing the unspoken rules that govern survival, how alliances are formed in the kitchen and tensions simmer during yard time. Marisol shares her experiences of navigating friendships that forged bonds of solidarity amidst hardship. Laughter can be heard, interspersed with moments of tension as rivalries play out. The cacophony of life inside reflects both struggle and kinship, highlighting the unbreakable human spirit fighting to connect. In the heart of confinement, Marisol finds solace in her relationships, illustrating that even behind bars, the essence of humanity endures. Chapter 3: Moments of Vulnerability. The focus shifts to Greg, a seasoned inmate grappling with the weight of his past. As he sits alone in his cell, the soft hum of fluorescent lights overhead accentuates his solitude. Through introspective narration, Greg recounts the moments that led him to this stark existence, a violent crime motivated by blind rage. With a voice tinged with regret, he shares his longing for redemption and the yearning to reconnect with his estranged family. The ambient music swells, mirroring his deep emotions as he recalls memories of laughter and warmth from a life now shadowed by guilt. He vividly describes the ache of missing birthdays and milestones, painting a powerful picture of lost time. Greg's reflections reveal the slow, often painful, journey towards self-forgiveness, a solitary path lined with remorse, but also flickers of hope. In his vulnerability, listeners are drawn into a profound exploration of the human capacity for change. Chapter 4: The Transformation. As the sun softens beyond the prison walls, Lena, a compassionate volunteer therapist, enters the stark environment, carrying the light of hope. Her soothing voice guides inmates through a group therapy session filled with shared trauma and healing. The room, once heavy with despair, transforms into a sanctuary of vulnerability, where inmates, including Marisol and Greg, bravely share their stories. Soft exchanges of encouragement ripple through the air, punctuated by the crackle of tissues and the quiet sobs of release as emotions surface. Lena listens intently, facilitating discussions that peel back the layers of pain and guilt, allowing inmates to confront their pasts. Amidst the echo of heartfelt confessions, a sense of solidarity blooms, bridging the gaps of isolation. Each breakthrough resonates with the promise of transformation, illustrating that within these walls, significant change is possible, and the journey toward redemption begins with understanding and forgiveness. Chapter 5: The Art of Freedom. In this chapter, we meet Malik, a talented painter whose brushstrokes transcend the confines of his cell and embody his journey towards self-discovery. In a dimly lit art room, the sound of paint splattering against canvas fills the air, mingling with the low hum of inmates engaged in creative expression. Malik narrates how he first picked up a paintbrush as a diversion, but it soon became a lifeline, his escape from the harsh realities of prison life. As he shares his triumphs and frustrations, the ambiance shifts to include sounds of laughter among fellow inmates, illustrating how art fosters camaraderie and healing. Malik reflects on how each piece he creates captures emotions long buried: conflict, hope, and redemption. Through the transformative power of art, He discovers not only a means of expression, but also a pathway to reconnect with dreams of freedom that once felt out of reach. Chapter 6: The Road to Redemption. As the days dwindle before the parole board's meeting, the intensity within the prison thickens. Inmate voices carry a mix of hope and anxiety as they gather in the common area, preparing for the possibility of freedom. Kyle stands among them, recounting the flutter of anticipation in his chest, each heartbeat echoing the weight of past decisions. Marisol shares her fears, the thought of returning to a world that once trapped her in darkness. The atmosphere is charged. Whispered prayers escape lips, mingling with the soft shuffle of feet across the concrete floor. Greg, reflecting on his long journey, reveals moments of doubt and determination, vowing to strive for forgiveness and a fresh start. As the soundscapes of quiet contemplation envelop the group, they lean into one another for support, united in their shared dreams of redemption, a fragile yet intoxicating glimpse of the lives they hope to rebuild. As the sun sets outside the prison walls, the atmosphere within shifts from tension to camaraderie. This chapter introduces listeners to the friendships that blossom in the harsh confines of incarceration. Through the voices of inmates like Carlos and Jasmine, we hear anecdotes of shared moments, late-night conversations, spirited games of cards, and the unbreakable support found in the darkest times. Sound bites of laughter resonate within the walls, illuminating the power of connection amidst despair. These bonds often serve as lifelines, fostering resilience and providing emotional support that transcends the unforgiving environment. Carlos reflects on how his friendship with Jasmine helped him confront his demons and inspired him to pursue personal growth. Listeners are enveloped in the warmth of these relationships, understanding that even in a place designed to separate, humanity can triumph through shared experiences, creating a family forged in adversity. Chapter 8: The Weight of the Past. In this poignant chapter, we delve into the struggles of Marcus, a 35-year-old inmate grappling with the heavy burden of his past. With a voice filled with anguish, he recounts the tragic day that led to his incarceration, a moment filled with rage, regret, and irreversible consequences. As he embraces vulnerability, memories of lost loved ones flood back, their faces blending with the bars that confine him. Soft, melancholic music underscores his heartfelt monologue, emphasizing the emotional weight of guilt and haunting memories. He reflects on sleepless nights filled with self-recrimination and the longing for forgiveness, both from others and himself. As Marcus speaks, the soundscape shifts to echo sounds, distant sobs and whispers of support from fellow inmates, illustrating that even in darkness, connection exists. The chapter closes with a profound plea for redemption, highlighting the power of self-acceptance as a step towards healing and moving forward. Chapter 9: Voices from the Void. As the sound of clanging metal fades into a haunting silence, we delve into the stories of inmates who grapple with feelings of abandonment and isolation. This chapter features Sarah, who recalls the day she was cut off from her family. Her voice quivers as she shares how the silence of her cell amplifies the longing for connection, echoing the mental health challenges that plague those behind bars. Ambient sounds of distant footsteps and the muffled conversations of others highlight her profound loneliness. In stark contrast, the narrative shifts to moments of shared vulnerability. Inmates open up about their struggles, forming fragile connections in a place designed to divide. Together, they navigate the shadows of their pasts, seeking solace through whispered confidences. The chapter crescendos with Sarah's plea for understanding, imploring listeners to recognize the humanity within each inmate, reminding us all that even the most forgotten voices yearn to be heard. Chapter 10: Reflections through Rehabilitation. In this chapter, the focus shifts to the transformative power of education within prison walls. We meet Samuel, an inmate who, at the beginning of his sentence, felt lost and hopeless. Through the prison's educational programs, he discovered a passion for learning that sparked a profound change in him. Samuel narrates his journey with determination as he describes the sense of purpose he gained from attending classes, whether in basic literacy, vocational training, or even college-level courses. Background sounds of classroom chatter and the rustle of paper fill the air, echoing the spirit of growth and engagement. Samuel reflects on the friendships forged with fellow inmates, united by a desire to change their futures. As he shares stories of resilience, hope swells, painting a vivid picture of personal growth against the backdrop of confinement. Education becomes a key to unlocking potential, allowing inmates to envision brighter tomorrows just beyond the bars. Chapter 11: Family Ties. In the heart of the prison's somber walls, the bond between inmates and their families remains a lifeline. This chapter introduces Sophia, a mother whose son is incarcerated. Through her voice, we hear the anguish and longing that comes from the distance, both physical and emotional. As the sound of phone calls crackles through the air, listeners can feel the weight of unspoken words and shared memories. Inmates like David share stories of missed birthdays, the emotional toll of separation, and the small joys found in letters that bridge the gap between confinement and love. The chapter captures both the heartbreak and resilience of family ties, illustrating how these connections can provide hope. The ambient sounds of laughter during family visitations contrast with sobs of parting, reminding us that while distance can be heavy, the bonds of love can endure, offering a flicker of hope within the confines of despair. Chapter 12: Facing Consequences. In this poignant chapter, listeners are drawn into the stark realities of accountability faced by the inmates. We hear the voice of David, a once promising athlete whose impulsive decisions had devastating consequences. He reflects on the tragic loss of a friend due to a reckless act fueled by drugs and anger. As he recounts this moment of anguish, the soundscape shifts to a haunting melody that underscores his regret and sorrow. Through David's heartfelt monologue, we explore the profound impact of choices made in moments of weakness. The narrative delves into the stories of other inmates who share similar regrets, revealing how the weight of their pasts shapes their journey toward redemption. As echoes of remorse fill the air, listeners are reminded of the fragile line between freedom and confinement, and the heavy toll that guilt and loss can exact on the human spirit. Chapter 13: Towards a New Horizon. As the inmates gather in the common area for a group discussion, the atmosphere buzzes with anticipation. Each person shares their dreams and aspirations, painting a vivid picture of life beyond the prison walls. Malik expresses his desire to open an art studio where he can teach others the healing power of creativity. Marisol speaks of her plans to reconnect with her son and become a role model for him, hoping to break the cycle of incarceration in her family. Soft background sounds of shuffling paper and murmured agreements enhance the intimacy of the moment. Greg reflects on the importance of forgiveness, not just from others but from himself, as he dreams of a future where he can make amends. The rhythmic tapping of a nearby clock underscores the urgency of their hopes, creating a powerful sense of possibility. Together, they envision a world where their pasts no longer dictate their futures, highlighting the collective determination to embrace new beginnings.